So it's been there for 30 years. And that's what people have been using that for. So that's number one. I think the other thing that's really important to understand is the city going to vacate their easements for roads? Because they still are remaining on the master thoroughfare plan, which would mean even any easements that are existing at the time that you do a conservation easement, if they're not vacated, they still have the right to build a road, no matter what your conservation easement would say. So that's really important. And then the final thing that I want to talk about is this notion that somehow an ordinance has protected this property in perpetuity is very false. City Council could pass another ordinance tomorrow that would absolutely undermine what we've already done. They could pass something that says, no, we're going to develop it. And that ordinances are done that way all the time. And as to whether or not the 10% money is protective, you know, Johnson Basin was bought with 10% stormwater money. And then when it was discovered it wasn't going to be a natural open space area, that money was refunded. And then that parcel was built up as a developed park. So using specific funds or just an ordinance is not protective. That's why conservation easements are important. That's why we're going through this effort. And I'm not trying to undermine what you're doing. I'm trying to support it. But that is very important that we get this done. And my final question to you is, again, the bottleneck I was told was that we were stuck on these surface waiver agreements. So are those waiver agreements finished? Are there letters of intent? Are the people that are making those allowances, are they on board with this? Because if they're not, are you saying that kills the conservation easements?
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
Excuse me, may I add one other thing? I just was given some information that really the definition for natural open space doesn't have to be a major codification.
Natural state.
Excuse me, natural state. You can tell that even I get confused upon occasion. But natural state doesn't have to be codified to be something that is relied upon. So the problem remains that there is a misunderstanding as to what is to be done with the property and how it can be turned around, as Marilyn identified, even with the Constitution. We have to be very careful about what language we use and how it is represented in the document of conservation easement. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for that. I think that I did mention that natural state doesn't have to be codified, but it's just would be another guidepost in the conservation easement. And we don't want to have it out of place to kind of, you know, to your point, have two things commingled when we're saying a conservation easement. I mean, we break out the conservation easement things by public purpose and intent, public benefit, conservation values, accessory structures, habitat management. This is not for Lost Dog, it's for another one. Existing uses, recreational uses, artifacts, road access, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, natural state, I think, has the same types of overlap that we're talking about in natural open space. And this isn't to argue who's correct. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that I have relied in absence of a definition on natural open space and then taken away the things that we do not like. The other thing about the ordinance not protecting it, I mean, I agree that perhaps the new ordinance could come in here and replace the ordinance, but we're pretty far into the process to be doing that, and that's not the intent at all. Also, just to let you know, we could do a conservation easement and we could use cypre to break the conservation easement. So conservation easements aren't bulletproof, but that's neither here nor there. The other thing is the surface waiver agreement has been agreed upon. We're ready with that document. The NAPLand has been finished up. We're pretty much ready with that document. And all the work for the Lost Dog has been done. We're just having this public input meeting because we've been asked to, and there's just some straggling kind of little things that are just kind of crossing our T's and dotting our I's that we want to put in the document. So we're not creating this.
Rick, in terms of the MPO master plan, they're looking at bringing that back, I believe within the next 2 months, with some other updates that need to be taken into account based upon the East Side master plan. So it's going to be brought back up, I think, within the next 2 months.
Yeah, Peter, this is Alex Huffman with CID. Just to address that, so we are actually in the process of updating our MTP, and so as part of revisions that we're bringing to the document as a whole, the roadway that was identified through the Northwest Land is going to be deleted as part of that update. And so, you know, Dr. Barnard, I'm happy to share that document with you, just so that way you have that assurance that that is in fact the recommendation and what we're asking council to adopt. So just want to address that as well.
Well, I guess my concern at the time, Alex, is that any easements that are present when the CE is adopted are still in effect. So those changes need to occur prior to the execution of the CE, right?
Well, so just to be clear, the MTP, it does not reserve easements. It is showing general locations of future roadways when private development comes in. And so because there's no private development occurring in this area, that roadway wouldn't be built, but it's never reserving easements on land. That's never what it is.
So we're just saying the same thing. So I'm just making perfectly clear that there are no easements that the city is holding on this property.
Not for roadways. I don't want to say no to anything.
Well, I think
don't know.
that's the point. We
Yeah.
need to vacate all easements.
Sure.
I mean, if we're so worried about a surface waiver agreement on the off chance that Texaco is going to come in and burrow a hole for some oil, I think it's much more important that we think about giant water conduits, all sorts of electrical provisions. There could be, I know that there are 5 cuts under Trans Mountain Road that we had at the Public Service Board for major pipelines. Those all need to be understood that those are off. I don't know if we're frozen or what.
No, we're not. May I also add to something that Lisa mentioned about the conservation easement on Thunder Canyon? In Part B, it says the grantor, this has to do with the conservation easement for Thunder Canyon. Grantor acquired the protected property in order to preserve and retain the property in its natural state of open space, which is a public purpose of the grantor, which benefits all of the citizens of the city. And further, the PID described above was formed to further this purpose. So it does come up in this 2007 conservation easement, and maybe I misunderstood what you were saying, but I just wanted to be sure that we were all clear on what this is said in that conservation easement. Thank you.
Sure, Dr. Bonart, that's actually a perfect example because Thunder Canyon has no trails. It's actually a natural undisturbed area. So that is really the definition of natural.
No, that's not true. And I talked to, what's her name? Marcia Turner. There is a trail at the bottom of Thunder Canyon that people use.
So they do have trails in
And
Thunder
that is
Canyon.
permitted.
So that kind of is not the same thing that you were evidently given the information on. So that, and then the ordinances and the presentations by the city council all indicate that really and truly there needs to be a definition for natural open space. And I believe the one that has been distributed to the city council, rather at the city council and to the general public would certainly match what the needs are. Thank you.
Duly noted, and that's something that, you know, could maybe be put in the public benefit or the purpose and intent to kind of build out that section. So, you know, again, your message has been received, and I think that I just want to, you know, really highlight that I think that we're closer than you think here. You know, I'm also saying no cell towers, no horseback riding. We're allowing the activities that have been allowed on the land to continue on the land.
Not all activities on the land, excuse me?
No, I didn't say all that.
Well, when will all of this be in process? Because there are activities that have gone on the land that are not what is accepted by the people who have who actually signed the petition and who voted for it. So,
right. And I think that we've talked about capturing that before, but I mean, just so this is out in the open, I mean, our general agreement is that there would be hiking, some sort of bird watching, walking, photography, and mountain biking. There would not be camping, horseback riding, climbing, things of those natures. I mean, I read your definition, but I mean, I think that's both where we're driving towards. I'm not trying
Good.
to, and I realize some of the activities on the land have been, you know, don't comport with the use we want to see, and we can crack down on that in the conservation easement as well.
well, I realize that someone has to make the decision, or possibly its city council needs to make the decision as to what our city is going to accept as a definition for natural state, because that seems to be pivotal in several instances. So maybe we need to look at presenting that in some manner, or getting some kind of assistance. Representative Schwartzbein, what's your thought?
You know, we've heard you about your concerns about it. I mean, staff is looking into addressing this and getting this easement done. I mean, that's the intent of these meetings, and we've heard multiple meetings about your concern about that definition. So that's something that staff is taking into place. I really think there's other people that have signed up to speak. We've been an hour into this. I would love to hear what some other people have about these discussion items, if that's possible. Lisa, I didn't know if you want to talk about the items still.
Oh, thank you very much. No, please, I feel like I've taken too much of your time, but I think it's important. Thank you.
Lisa, you're muted.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I pushed too many buttons. These again are touchstones. These are not examples of what we're doing out there. That's just to kind of enliven the conversation here.
Lisa, do you want to go back a couple slides about and start again about this second item?
Sure. Sorry. So the discussion item here is really passive accessories. We've pretty much at this point ruled out that no single person has said anything other than perhaps a boulder to rest for a couple seconds is anything they want to see in Lost Dog, and that's consistent with what we were thinking, but we did want to check in on that. We do have an opportunity to maybe have something on the exterior or abutting the border of the property. And again, there are things that are in the kind of guidance that we have that we would never ever allow for this conservation easement. It is just tailored to the Lost Dog area. So here, you know, we're kind of talking about, we've had a lot of different people. There's users of different ages and different abilities that have talked about having some place to rest. These are some benches in some natural spaces. They're not meant to say that this is a botanic garden or it's a museum. It's just something artful. Really what we've narrowed it down to after having some public input is maybe having a couple boulders brought in at some strategic places, maybe along the longer loops that are 4 or 5 miles. We've had some people say that they wouldn't mind having a place to kind of rest themselves for a second or two and regroup. Also, I just want to make this clear. I know we've said it in other meetings. There really isn't a lot of money backing up. We're going to make it through the conservation easement process. And then I know Frontera has been looking at some different grants, and you never know who might come along and offer to do some of these projects for us. The other kind of item here, these are typical trail heads and trail amenities. So again, we're talking outside the exterior or perhaps like in the parking lot. These are some lighting and solar table, picnic tables. There's like a bike kind of fix it, air it up situation. We've also, and this shouldn't preclude anyone from weighing in that has a different opinion. What we pretty much heard that this isn't really necessary, that this isn't something people would like to see, even if it wasn't on the property at all, it was kind of adjacent to the property. But we did, we were kind of questioning ourselves as we finished up. So again, that doesn't mean any of this has to occur, or things that are the examples that I showed you would be like what would occur. We're looking for minimal impact, but we definitely want people to speak to their ability or what would help them enjoy the space more. I know that one more thing I'll say here is wayfinding and signage comes up. I think I've addressed this before. We don't want to litter the area so that it looks like a theme park or Vegas or anything, but we are going to continue to try to work with Franklin State Park to make the signage blend with theirs where we need to place it. And if there needs to be more strategic placement of signs, we will do so. If my fire and EMS people at the city tell me that there needs to be certain kind of wayfinding or posts there, then we'll work to accomplish that as well, because that is of tantamount importance. And with that, I'll kind of open it up about some of the accessory things that we could do. I think I see Miss Guida's hand up.
Yes, thank you. I finally figured that part out. So the one thing that has occurred to me, and actually it is in Franklin Mountain State Park, is an observation blind where people can go and sit and observe nature, birds chirping and hopping around the bushes and whatever happens to come along. And I love that spot. I haven't been there in a number of years, but and this actually brings up also, and I don't know if you're going to get to the disabled, people who are disabled and their particular needs. Is that going to come up at another time?
No, this is a perfect time. I know we've brought it up a couple of times, but we definitely want to be very mindful, and we've identified a couple places by the water tower and et cetera that we might be able to think about some future ADA, but that will require some specific input as well.
Okay, well, so there's such an incredible, I'm not seriously disabled, but I have some issues, and I have two friends who use motorized wheelchairs. And so I know, for example, there's an area in town, I won't say where, with chat on the trails that wasn't originally on the trails and then was brought in a few years ago. And as soon as my friend who is in a motorized wheelchair got on there, she just bogged down completely. And it happened to a second friend of mine with the same issue with the motorized wheelchair. So that's chat is just like off the table, I hope, as well as any other surfaces other than the natural surface. But observation places, not only observation blinds, and I don't know the whole, I haven't been to the entire perimeter of Lost Dog, let alone been able to walk on the trails. So, it's but I have been in that parking area with the shade structure right off the street. And I couldn't, when I first was there for the first time, it happened to be right after I came down with this weird thing called connective tissue disease. And I wouldn't be able to get up that slope from the parking lot to start a trail. And it's very steep there. I don't know if there are any other access points around the perimeter where it would be easier for somebody in a wheelchair, or even someone pushing someone in a wheelchair, to get access. And I don't want any any grading, any kind of landscape damage in order to create these places. So, but I know a friend of mine he has some favorite places around town that he goes to, and he sits in his car because, he's in a motorized wheelchair. Otherwise, when he gets out, and just enjoys the view, enjoys, whatever animals happen to be nearby, the breeze, the fresh air, just, all of that. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be damaging to the environment, but we really need places like that for people with a range of disabilities. Some blind people have, heightened senses of smell and hearing, and really would benefit from, some quiet places to be able to be. And and they need to speak for themselves. I don't want to speak for them. I definitely think you need to find some ways. I don't know if there's a plan for connecting with, inviting people with various disabilities to be part of an information gathering session. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment and noted. We had recently just a great presentation at the city with ADA, kind of, I guess we'll call him an advisor for lack of a better word. So that is something that will have to be carefully thought out. And we'll probably just go ahead and capture that in the easement and then work on that over time in an effort to get this done. But we have received some other feedback as well. I've had a request to just do the last slide here. So those of you who have been here for a little over an hour can continue your evening activities, and then we can take a couple more questions. So once again, and I'm sure you've heard me say in this presentation or others if you've been here, that the easement contract has been well drafted. We're just kind of combing through these public inputs, especially some of the ones we had with the breakout groups were really super helpful and just helping us kind of either think that our thinking was really great or, having us make some kind of finite adjustments. So I thank you for your input infinitely. Also, Fronteras Council will be reviewing the contracts as our attorney is kind of preparing them and going back and forth. I can say things have worked smoothly in the past, so it's not something that's going to get hung up forever. And to that point, we are looking to finish by the end of the year. We realize that you guys have long been awaiting this, and it's probably been a longer process when you're not involved with it, but it's been exciting and pleasure to be able to work on this, and it has been kind of top of mind and been traded back and forth weekly here. So it's not something that's been collecting dust. It has been moving, but there's a lot of work that goes into these documents and agreements. So thank you so much. If anyone has any last questions, I think we can take a couple more of those, but I just want to let you go ahead and enjoy your evening if you've had a full hour with us. Thank you so much. Dr.
Is there anybody who hasn't yet spoke that would like to speak?
Yes, I would like to speak.
No, you've already spoken once.
Oh,
Anybody that hasn't yet had a chance to comment, and we can go back to anybody that would like to add any additional comments. But is there anybody who has not commented yet that would like to
Oh, excuse me, did you say something? Friends of the Franklin. Okay, thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess if there's anybody else who'd like to speak, I think Dr. Bonart, you wanted to say something?
yeah, I would like to make a couple comments about trailheads. And I mentioned this last time, there's actually 5 or 6 trailheads that are planned to go to this 1,000-acre parcel. So it's not like it's underserved by trailheads. And the cool thing about these trailheads is each of them is actually not on the property. They're all contiguous with, but they're not on the parcel that you're trying to put a conservation easement on. So that means that you'll be able to go ahead with your conservation easement and not worry about these trailheads or the trailhead amenities, because on the trailheads themselves, you can put whatever you want. They're not part of the conservation easement. So if you want benches, if you want these ADHD trails, all those things are available. You just purchased some properties from Hunt called the Hunt Arroyos. They're contiguous with the property itself, but they don't belong to this property. And each one of those is open for whatever you want to put on them. So, people can put the trailhead at Bear Ridge. If you think you can do ADHD there, then do that. But there's also the opportunity to use existing trailheads that have those features that you may not know even exist. There's one at Franklin Hills and Casper Ridge. that has a very long trail that's paved that people can use, and it's contiguous again with the same parcels of land. So I think that those opportunities already exist, and there's many that have even been planned that you may not even be considering. So I wouldn't burden myself with trying to place those in a conservation easement on the parcel itself when you have amenities that are associated with and intended to be used for what you're trying to accomplish.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I think we can wrap up, and thank you so much for the input. Thank you for attending. Thanks for everything, and we will look forward to coming back to you with a finished conservation easement in just a few weeks' time here.
And thank you to everyone for this from the city who stayed after work till 7:17. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. People from staff, I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks
the
again.
opportunity.
My thanks also to Representatives Forsbein and all the staff, Lisa, and I know there's a lot of behind the scenes people working on this, and I thank you all very much. Sounds like it's going to be fabulous.